Hi guys, welcome back to Family Law Assistance. As you can see, there is more snow. More snow. I went down to the Co-op, which is probably one of the only shops open in our town, not a village, it's a town. And yeah, I felt like Scott of the Antarctic. So anyway, we're at home nursing a cup of hot tea. And aside from doing paperwork, we thought we'd come and check in and talk about something that not many people know about, and that is, what do we do?
Because we always work on the principle, quite wrongly, that everyone knows what we do, but they don't. I mean, we do it all the time. I guess it's like everything else. You work in an industry, you assume everyone knows everything about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Thinking about some of the questions that people ask, it's quite obvious that we don't. So this is an opportunity for us to explain what we can do and answer some of the questions that come up quite often with people.
Yeah. So, what's a McKenzie Friend? Well, this is, the term itself actually dates back to a case in the 1970s. And do you want to carry on explaining?
Yeah, there was a case in the 1970s in London where there was a gentleman representing himself in court, and his name was McKenzie, and he took along a friend to assist him. Now, his friend wasn't a solicitor or barrister in this country, but he was actually an Australian barrister. And his friend was thrown out of the hearing, and the gentleman appealed it, and won the appeal that he had a right to reasonable assistance. And as I say, his name was McKenzie, and that's the term that stuck with the court, McKenzie Friend.
Yeah. So that term is something that's used today. Bizarrely, unless you're going through the court process, you probably won't have heard of a McKenzie Friend. So when things normally go wrong in a relationship, your first port of call usually will probably be a solicitor. And a lot of people kind of find out about what we do either from word of mouth or actually after being through and using a solicitor and then trying to find an alternative to a solicitor's. So one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, well, why use somebody like us when you've got solicitors out there? Don't they?
Yeah, I mean, you speak to a lot of people, and especially solicitors, and they will say, well, people only use a McKenzie Friend because they can't afford a solicitor. But you know what? There are a whole host of reasons why people choose to use a McKenzie Friend instead of a solicitor. And do you know what? Although the received wisdom is that that's due to cost, because we are a fraction of the cost of a solicitor or a barrister, it's not that. We have no end of clients who are more than able to pay a vast amount of money for a solicitor. Remember, if you go to somewhere in central London, I think you'll be paying something like, what, £400 an hour?
Yeah? That's about right.
But they choose to use us
over a solicitor.
And why is that, Michaela?
Well, I'm glad you asked that.
It's got a bit Wayne's World, hasn't it? Party on.
I don't know, I think it just must be brain freeze. So people do choose to use us over a solicitor. And again, that's for a whole host of reasons. I've had lots of reasons, including I know my case better than anybody else. I am the case. Somebody said that, and that stuck with me. I am the case. I know who, what, why, where, when and how, straight like that. And basically. A lot of what happens in the reality of court is showing your case. Now, obviously, the courts don't want to know war and peace, but if you need to, you know your children, you know your finances better than anybody, and a lot of people don't like to rely on that third party to get it wrong or to get very basic details wrong.
Yeah, and another factor is bad experiences with solicitors, either personally or from friends. I mean, the most common complaint people have had about solicitors relayed to us is that they say, well, do you know what, I went to court, my solicitor sat at the front, I sat at the back, my solicitor ignored everything I'd said to them and hadn't represented me. Now, to be fair to solicitors, that's maybe sometimes because solicitors will actually say what the court is interested in. So, for example, if you're in a finance case and you want the court to know about the bad behaviour that you feel that your ex has perpetrated, you feel that the court needs to know that. Whereas a solicitor will know that it's not actually relevant in that kind of case. So they're actually doing you a service And I'm sure there's a lot of solicitors. If you really want them to tell you stuff that's not relevant, they will. But they won't necessarily be helping your case. So to be fair to solicitors, that's another reason. We'll also tell you if you want to say stuff to the court that's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Like in a finance case, the fact that your ex slept with 3 Swedish models in a sauna, it's got nothing to do with the fact that...
It doesn't have to be a sauna, though.
No.
Or they don't have to be Swedish, either, do they?
No.
They can be a whole range of nationalities.
Well, there was in this case.
Really?
It was. It wasn't relevant.
Okay, I think you meant Swedish. Okay.
No.
That's sorry, I'll go on.
Yeah, so I had to tell them to shut up. The court aren't interested in the ex's antics because, quite frankly, it wasn't relevant to a finance case. So, look, I know we digress a little bit, but...
It was to talk about the Swedes that did it. It's the blonde hair, isn't it?
Anyway. So yeah, bad experiences. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say that they've had just bad experience. And another thing that a lot of people say to us is that we act really quickly. I mean, you may or may not see my video that I posted recently when I had to act really quickly about a parent that was threatening to take a child out of the country on the far-flung side of the world straight away, and I had to act very, very quickly. The person that approached me had gone to see a solicitor, and what they said to me was they ummed and ahed about it and said they could potentially get them in for a meeting next week. Well, actually, that was no good because Mum had planned to go and leave the country.
Just 6,000 miles it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. And had that happened, well, as the quote goes, you can't hug Skype. So, yeah, this absolutely needed to be acted really, really quickly.
Another thing that's worth pointing out is that what we can and can't do. We're not solicitors.
Yep.
We get lots and lots of people that say, "Can you represent me in court?" And there's a really simple answer to that, isn't there, Michaela?
No, we can't.
And why is that, Michaela?
We don't automatically have rights of audience. Now, the reality, of course...
What rights of audience, Michaela, in case for people who don't know?
Rights of audience means I can just speak for you in court, just like your solicitor or a barrister would. I don't automatically have that right. McKenzie Friends don't have that right. And if somebody tells you different, they're treading on your dodgy ground. Now, in reality, actually, I get a lot of rights of audience. Sometimes, whether I want them or not. I mean, there's been times when I've gone into court and I've sat down and straight away the judge has addressed me immediately, and there we are. I'm speaking on behalf of my clients. But generally speaking, I don't have that automatic right. So we script everybody, okay? So to make sure that what you're saying to the judge is relevant and helpful. And
similarly, if as well as saying helping you say what you should say, if you get to the stage where you're saying things that you shouldn't say,
we've been there.
There's always been a kick under the table.
Oh, yes.
I think it's funny. I did one hearing where there was a guy I was helping in London, and we were before a circuit judge who's... The circuit judge is one step down from a High Court judge, and my client started talking all about his situation. It wasn't relevant, and he kept on and on and on, and I thought he's going to stop in a moment. He's going to stop, and he didn't stop. So I leant over to him and I whispered quite carefully, "You're waffling," and the judge heard it, and she smiled and winked at me before my client moved off on a different tangent that was a little bit more relevant.
So I think the rule of thumb is if you see me face planting the desk,
doing that.
Yeah, then you probably know that you've gone too much, you've gone too far, okay? So it's funny, isn't it, that the reality of what we can do and actually what we can't do, but on the whole, we don't have the automatic right to speak for you in court.
Something else we can't do is act as your agent.
Yeah, so we normally help prepare documents and assist with court bundles, etc. But let's be clear, your signature is at the bottom of that. And actually it's really good because it means that you get the final say-so if things aren't to your liking, or, stupid things that actually really matter to people, like the date of birth of their children sometimes get wrong, or the spelling of a name, which in itself is quite insignificant, but you get the final say-so.
And that's the thing, because if it comes to something like cross-examination, it will be you that is cross-examined, not us. So you need to make sure that you are happy and you agree with every piece of paperwork that goes out that has your signature on it. Whereas if you had a solicitor, as opposed to us, your ex's solicitor will be able to send documents directly to you, letters to you directly, vice versa.
Yeah.
We can't do that. I mean, many of our clients, use email to. They'll forward an email and say, "I've just got this email, or I've just got this document. What do I do about it?" And we'll have a meeting with them, and we'll discuss, and we'll say, "These are your options," and we'll advise with the sort of response that you might want to do. But ultimately, it's down to you. It's your case. It's your children. It's your money. It's your situation. You're the one that gets to live with the outcome years down the line, not us.
And the other thing that people say over and over and over again to us is that they feel empowered. They're in the driving seat.
Definitely.
They're directing the case.
You get very often for people, it's a time in their life when they feel that they've lost all power. They might have lost their children. Yeah. They might have lost their house. They might be fearful for the future, and they're left like a rabbit in the headlights, thinking, "What do I do now?"
Yeah.
You represent yourself. You suddenly and very quickly gain a bit of control back over your life. I was speaking to someone this morning who said that he was sitting there doing nothing, just really, really down about it, and they're utterly helpless. He's now got a shopping list of things to do to help his own situation. Is it going to fix things? Possibly. Is it going to fix things overnight? No. But the point is, he's not sitting there waiting for other people. It's in his hands. And representing yourself is a really good reason. So it's a really good reason to represent yourself because it will empower you like nothing else at all. Until you've been involved in this sort of situation, you will feel, you won't realise how massively disempowered you'll feel.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'll feel like a lot of things are against you. You'll feel like the ex is against you, and before long, it's not long before you feel like the whole world is conspiring against you.
And there's nothing you can do.
And you know what? People feel better with a plan, and I'm usually the gal with a plan. People get known to my to-do lists, and people can print off my to-do lists and go through each task as and then. There's loads that people can do that people don't realise that they can do. So, so empowerment is absolutely huge. It's something that I hear again and again and again. And when they have that lovely result, I mean, obviously, it's a wonderful feeling. But for them, it's more so because they've done that. They've had to speak those words in court. They've had to do those actions that I've suggested that they do. And, it's a fantastic feeling.
It's probably also worth talking at this stage about other things like what a paralegal is. Legal execs, all that sort of stuff, because I think there's a lot of confusion about the difference between a McKenzie Friend, a paralegal, legal exec, that sort of stuff. So,
thank you. So, being a McKenzie Friend, you don't actually have to be legally qualified, and lots out there don't. And in fact, a lot of McKenzie Friends, broadly speaking, will only specialise in child private law contact matters. Now, I'm a qualified paralegal. I've studied with ILEX, and I've been working in civil litigation myself for 20 years. You're not going to believe this.
You usually say much posh, doesn't it?
Oh, I know.
How do you say 20 years when you're speaking posh? 20 years. Go on.
I don't know what you're
She's got a BBC voice. She should be in a black and white thing with a pair of pearl earrings and broadcasting from London. Oh, sorry, what you were saying.
You've just put me off now. So a lot of people don't have to be legally qualified. Most people only specialise in one aspect of family law. I've worked in civil litigation myself nearly 20 years. You're not going to look at this wonderful face, but I was a debt collector for ages.
Do you know what? When I first found out McCall was a debt collector, I thought she was banging on doors at 3 o'clock in the morning with on the houses that have had 3 or 4 Rottweilers inside.
FYI, when I met Stephen, first of all, his car wasn't worth repossessing.
Do you know what? That says a lot about the relationship.
Yeah.
Anyway, paralegals.
Sorry, I've just stuck on your old crappy car. Do you remember you had to climb through the window?
Come on, move on. Continue. We've all been there. Especially if you had a divorce.
Yeah, so... you're just making this so much worse for me. So I deal with all aspects of family law, finance, for obvious reasons, finance, private law, public law. I help the whole kit and caboodle. I've lost my train of thought now.
You were about to say what paralegals are.
Well, that's what I am. So that's probably all you need to know.
Is it possible to be a McKenzie Friend without a paralegal and vice versa?
Yeah, you don't have to be legally qualified. Loads of McKenzie Friends aren't legally qualified.
What is a paralegal?
Me.
No, not just you. You're not the only paralegal in the country, are you? There are others.
So I studied with ILEX.
No, not you. What's a paralegal?
The people who've got legal qualifications.
Do paralegals have to have legal qualifications?
Yeah, they've broadened it lately because nowadays...
We get there in the end.
Why don't you just say so?
I'm just letting people know your expansive knowledge of the system.
Yeah, I'm frozen. Yeah, so...
You just need to let it go.
I'm not going to burst into song. Do you know, yesterday you threatened to burst into song. I think you should. Anywho. Yeah, so they've now broadened the term of paralegal so that if you've actually worked in a legal environment, you can call yourself a paralegal. So yeah,
thank you. We got there in the end, didn't we?
There's that. Yeah.
Eventually.
So yeah, I mean, there's probably a heap of stuff that we've probably not covered, and we can sit here all day, kind of, you know, telling you how fantastic representing yourself is and what we do actually.
We would though, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, again, any questions, stick them down below and we're happy to answer them. So yeah, have a great day, guys. You're going to press the off button now.
I'll press the off button now.
Press it then.
Bye.
Bye.